Board will come to order, and we'd like to welcome everyone here. I'd like to start off by introducing our staff and the members. Our secretary, she's on vacation. The next is Glenn Rowe, and he's the gentleman that's bringing all this technical stuff in here for us. And Olivia Hall is our compliance officer. And the two agents from BMRC, Cameron Murray.
I'm Brad Reams, and this is Hannah Keeler.
And the board to my left is Will Tolles, Cecil Little, Arnold Sled, Andy Ransom, and I'm Edna Revere. And with that said, I'd like to call the first application, which is Tom Shaw. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Who's, oh,
Good morning.
my little friend here. Okay, Kelsey, go ahead, honey.
Did you want to read the ad?
Read the ad.
Go ahead.
She wants you to say who you are.
Oh, Kelsey English with Ranson's Nursery and Maintenance.
I'm sorry.
Kelsey English with Ranson's Nursery and
Okay.
Maintenance.
Go ahead.
We gotta read the application.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to read the ad, please. Tom Shaw in care of Kelsey English, Ransom's Nursery, is requesting permission to install a living shoreline, including the installation of 142 feet of Class A1 riprap marsh seal with 75 cubic yards of coarse beach nourishment and a 1,300 square foot of wetland planting along the shoreline of Dead and Bones Cove, located off Virginia State Highway 222, Weems Road on Thomas Morris Drive, tax map 278B, -4-41, BMRC number 25-1882. Go ahead.
Good morning. So I'm here to present to Mr. Schauder's application, which consists of 142 feet of riprap sill. There will be one gap at the around the 100-foot mark, and there is also about 1,200 square feet of bank grading in that section of the bank that's very undercut. There also is going to be a section of sand nourishment, and as I mentioned during our site visit, the intention for that sand nourishment is to provide recreational access for kayaks, paddleboards, canoes, as well as to allow pets in and out of the water without disrupting the wetlands vegetation there. So that's the only, that area of sand nourishment is the only thing excluding this project from the Group 2 general permit.
The beach nourishment, you know, it says coarse sand, but you know it has to be compatible with the.
Yes, so the
Okay.
sand that we use is
Just make sure that-
on average of 0.5 to 0.7 millimeter grain size.
Anybody on the board have anything they'd like to,
I don't have. No, ma'am.
down here on this end? Olivia, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Staff has no comment. It would be, like Kelsey said, a group 2 if it weren't for that sand area without plantings.
Okay, how about the BMRC?
No, ma'am, I don't have any comments to add.
Well, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this? If not, I'll entertain a motion, please.
Yeah, I'll move, excuse me, I'll move to approve the project as submitted.
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. The next on the agenda is, Lancaster County. Is someone here representing them? State your name for the record, please.
Good morning, Ms. Chairwoman. My name is Ben Burton. I'm the senior engineer at Bay Design Group. We're under contract to Lancaster County for the development of the Taylor Creek Park project.
Okay, I'd like to read the ad, please. Lancaster County and Care Bay Design Group is requesting permission to install 202 linear feet of riprap revetment, 1,744 square feet of living shoreline, and 3,394 square feet of beach nourishment, and 2 riprap breakwater structures totaling 135 linear feet of clean sandy fill is to be used in the living shoreline and beach nourishment installation. As part of the project, 96 linear feet of 8 feet wide compost boardwalk will be installed along the central shoreline. A 6-foot wide by 40 feet long wooden boardwalk will connect the proposed accessible nature trail to the 466 square feet of fixed dock with 14, feet, 10-inch piles. Connected to the fixed dock is a 4-foot wide by 30-foot long aluminum gangway attached to a 376 foot floating dock. The floating dock will provide an ADA complement kayak launch to Taylor Creek and be kept stationary by 4 attached 10-inch piles driven 17.14 below existing bottom. All measures to be installed along the shoreline of Taylor Creek as part of the new county park to be built on the parcel located off Virginia State Highway 222 Weems Road at the terminus of Park Creek Lane, tax map number 26G-1-19, VMRC number 25-1767. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much for reading all that out. This may be one of the most involved JPAs that the Wetlands Board has had to consider in a long time because it has every different type of shoreline improvement involved in it. If you look at your what's displayed on your monitors there, this is one of the exhibits in the JPA. Down in the lower left-hand corner of the drawing is the boardwalk that connects to nature trails. That leads to, in the center of the picture, to a boardwalk and dock that provide access to the kayak launch. On either side of the kayak, at the kayak launch, we've got a 4-foot depth of Taylor Creek, so that should make it useful for the recreational purposes. Either side of the kayak launch to help protect the shore, we have 2 breakwaters filling with sand and some living shoreline. And then as you work your way around the site, there's a very steep bank right there that has been eroding, and we feel it's prudent to stabilize that shore of that bank, the toe of that shore, not change the slope of the bank behind it, but stabilize the toe of it by putting some riprap revetment right along that. It's about that revetment, oh my goodness. I forget exactly how long it is. It was in what you read. So those are the, 6 different improvements that are part of the marine and improvements to Taylor Creek Park. The park overall is an 11-acre park that the county is getting ready to take bids on for the construction. In fact, it was advertised today for the total part of the, for the total park, of which this component is one piece of it, the marine improvements. So if you have any questions, I'm ready to answer anything you have questions about.
Okay, appreciate that. Anyone on the board? Y'all have any questions?
It's going to be a small parking area, as I understand it.
Yes, that doesn't show up on these drawings because these drawings are part of the, or just relate to the JPA, but back within the site, there's about a 2/10 of a mile access road with various parking spaces along it, well back into the 11 acres.
Okay.
Olivia?
Yes, ma'am, I just lost the feed. If you could bear with me for 1 second.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I just want to run through a couple of pictures of the park. So this is that toe on that steep embankment that we were talking about, the riprap revetment. That's where that would go. This area will be graded. This is sections 2 to 3 and 3 to 4 on that overall drawing that's in your packet. And then they'll have the living shoreline elements here. And then you can see the boardwalk, which extends from 4 to 5 there. And these are some examples of the shoreline restoration that will occur in that graded area. This is a nearby home that did a lot of plantings, and it's turned out really nice. We're trying to emulate that, as well as the tides grading here at the tides parcel where they graded that out and did a boardwalk with a nice shoreline plantings. So it'll be similar to that boardwalk that you see there. We did have some APO comments come in. There were 3 that have come in. 2 were not objecting and 1 was objecting, but the objections in his comment were related to the park and not the shoreline restoration itself, and all that was included in your packet and shared with VMRC. I prepared a comment response regarding the objection, which I'd like to read into the record. This letter serves as a response to the public comment letter and APO form submitted to the county regarding Joint Permit 25-1767, Taylor Creek Park Shoreline Stabilization Project. On the APO form, Mr. Gary Rawl and Ms. Kimberly McKenzie checked that they object to the project. However, their corresponding letter does not address any concerns related to the shoreline stabilization project. Their comment letter does list concerns related to the location of park amenities, which are not elements that require approval through the joint permit application process. Their concerns included the location of the shelter and the bathroom facilities. They assert that the picnic shelter will be located within 100 feet of their property, and this assertion is false. The shelter is approximately 200 feet from their pool deck. They also commented on their desire for a fence separating their property from the county park. Fencing is also not part of the joint permit application approval process. The APO also commented that the facilities should be located outside of the resource protection area. Firstly, permitting facilities in the resource protection area is a Chesapeake Bay Act program requirement, and again, not an activity requiring permitting through the joint permit application process. Secondly, a county park is a water-dependent facility, and based on this, the facilities located inside the resource protection area are exempt and allowable. Based on this, the county respectfully disagrees with the opposition to our joint permit application for this shoreline stabilization project. This project will use nature-based solutions to stabilize the eroding shoreline and will result in calculable nutrient reductions, thus improving water quality. So we are only looking at what is in your jurisdictional area for this project today. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
I think one of the points in that particular objection letter,
Could you speak up a little bit louder, please?
I think one of the points to be made about that particular objection letter is although they had several points about the project. Embedded in their comment letter was the fact that they had no comments and they thought the stabilization of the shoreline for the project was appropriate. So, as Olivia says, that relates specifically to the area that the Wetland Board has jurisdiction over.
Bim
Oh,
Marcy, I mean. Would you like?
Well, the county is exempt from needing a permit, you know, that too. So, and when I visited the site, it was a little difficult to access because there, like you said, there's some steep banks. And, I didn't notice any vegetation there within the board's jurisdiction. I don't have any further comments.
Olivia? What's your thoughts on this?
We typically permit county parks, and as this is a public access, we permit public boat ramps, HOAs, commercial piers. So that's why it's before you today.
So, you think everything's okay? I mean, with all this, with the opposition or whatever?
I will leave that up to the board's discretion. The county has expressed their views in our comment response letter.
What do you think?
I'm here from the audience.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
Anyone in the audience?
I'm asking you all first, do you have anything you want to say?
No.
No, I'm pretty clear on it.
Okay. How about you two gentlemen down here?
Doing good.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience wishes to speak to this application? State your name, sir.
Good morning, I'm Rick Wineland. The reason I'm here is basically because
You've
of...
got to speak up a little bit. Is there any way to get that louder? I mean, it's hard to hear up here, really.
Everybody just needs to speak into their microphone,
Okay.
all of us.
Good morning, hi, I'm Rick Wineland. Thank you for letting me speak this morning, and one of the reasons I'm here is because of stated opposition. So I thought it would be nice for you all to hear the other side. Our family bought a parcel on Taylor Creek in 1973. So we've been there a while. We built in 1989, and the creek has been my home and part of who I am since that time. Since we built our house, we have watched the population on the creek double. It's been actually amazing. But I've also seen that people who have the $1 million homes on the creek, they are not like the people that don't have any access at all and can't get their families out on the creek and enjoy a nice summer day. As you know, the Lancaster County Board of Supervisors has a goal of water access, not just for the wealthy, but for all citizens. In that vein, I have watched as they have spent much time and many resources in developing this park and the other parks for everyone who wants to experience the beauty of our county. Just last week, I took a 80-year-old out on a kayak on Taylor Creek. Thank goodness it was not rough and there was no boat action. But I hauled him around because he was unable to paddle with his disease. And his joy was just amazing. That's what this park will let people do. They will let handicap and people who couldn't get out otherwise get out on the water and enjoy themselves. I've been to the Taylor Creek site multiple times by water and by land. I've watched and been to a number of these meetings, and I've met with Bruce, Julian, and Olivia, and it's just amazing the work that they've done on this park. They've spent much time regarding controlling the erosion, protecting water quality, designing a place where we can actually teach our children about the outdoors. They've worked at minimizing impact of the park on adjacent property owners and planting all these native species to promote not only an eco-friendly park, but also an enduring park. So I am overjoyed with the proposed Taylor Creek Park and what it means for those who want to enjoy the beauty and serenity of this creek I call home. It is my hope that the Wetlands Board will approve the plans as submitted by Ben and Bay Design and will allow the forward progress of this park to continue. Thank you.
If I may, Madam Chair, I'll just read this for the record.
I'm sorry.
I said, if you may, Madam Chair, I'll read this for the record.
Okay,
In section 28.2-1303, the following uses and activities in wetlands are authorized if otherwise permitted by law. And for item number 10, a governmental activity in wetlands owned or leased by the Commonwealth or a political subdivision thereof, which would be the county. So it's authorized by law for the county already,
okay. Compliance officer over here, help speak to me.
Well, we've advertised it.
Yeah, I mean-
And so I think you should still vote on it. I mean,
Yeah,
VMRC
right.
in the past has advised
Yeah.
us to permit public,
Yeah.
so.
I guess everything, all the detrimental situations has been worked out and all, and if VMRC feels it's, and the law says it's, I guess we have to follow the law,
Sure, I would recommend having a vote.
yes.
I mean, you're more than welcome to vote on this, but it is an activity that is allowed by law by the
Okay.
for the county without requiring a wetlands permit. But
Thank you
you're
so much.
welcome to permit it,
Thank you.
Mhm.
Did you say provided by law?
Mhm.
Okay.
Whomever makes the motion should include that.
We also need to ask if there are any others online.
I'm going to, but I'm just trying to get off, and is anyone in the audience else would like to speak with this? No? Okay.
Madam Chair, just want to, in regard to the vote by the Wetlands Board, Bay Design Group has represented the county in several other waterfront projects. Every one of them has had a JPA that the board has voted on, even though they were permitted by law. So a vote by the board would be appropriate in my mind.
So, okay, no one else wishing to speak? You feel is what we're doing?
Madam Chairwoman, at your pleasure, I think you should proceed with a vote.
Okay, so, with no further discussion on this, do I hear a motion?
I so move that we follow the law and that we approve that part of this project that deals with the shoreline.
And I'll second that.
Okay, the motion's been made and second to follow the law. So all in favor? Okay. Thank you so much. The next on the agenda is the application of Bob Sled. Someone here representing him? State your name for the record, sir.
My name is Chris Davis.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
My name is Chris Davis. I'm the agent, and I'm a senior consultant to Native Shorelines.
Okay, I would like to read the ad, please. Bob Sled and care Chris Davis is requesting permission to install 384 linear feet of flex mat along a graded back bank at the Clarence eroding shoreline. The bottom toe of the flex mat will be buried in the upper tidal zone with the exposed remainder in the RPA. An additional 116 foot of living shoreline above mean low water will be installed using 2 high quick reef oyster seals, backfilled with clean sand and planted with spartina grasses with a gap included. Excuse me. Additional shoreline protection of 80 linear feet of 2 feet high quick reefs will be installed parallel to the shoreline, curving at the point, including a 16-foot return on the northwest end, but open to the southeast. Sand nourishment will total 40 cubic yards of and 1703 square feet of wetland plantings with the installed along the eroded shoreline of the western branch of Taylor's Creek, located off Virginia State Highway 630 Taylor's Creek Road on Peak Road, tax map number 27-54A, BMRC number 25-0401. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, sorry.
We can hardly hear what the speakers are saying up here. I don't know what the rest of them, you all have a problem hearing him?
I'll try to speak up. I got some reverb last time, so.
Okay,
Thank you for this opportunity to present another project on Taylor Creek with similar conditions, very steep bank, eroding at the toe. The site I've been visiting for more than a year with the charge from the homeowner to do something besides riprap revetment. In the spirit of the Living Shoreline Law, our project is designed to introduce as much living elements as possible. The major shoreline that faces southwest and the point will receive Fleximat. This is a best management practice in the Chesapeake Bay for living shorelines. There on the right is a photograph of an installation on the Rappahannock River. Similar to this one in the fact that the slope starts out at 5 to 1 and then increases up to 3 to 1. This particular site had an 8-foot impact from Isabel. The 8-foot is the flood maximum at this site. On the Rappahannock at Mr. Sled's site, it's 6 feet above mean low water is the maximum flood level from storm surge. So our Fleximat there is designed to cover the bank through any expected storm surge. The toe of the bank and the toe of the Fleximat will be populated with Spartina patents and upwards through the mat, as in this photograph on the right here. The webbing between the concrete blocks, which serve as revetment, allows the marsh grass to thrive, be protected in wave action, and to migrate upwards through it in sea level rise conditions. So it's really the best of both worlds. You get revetment, so no erosion, and you get the vegetation provided by the marsh. A recent article in the last 2 weeks said that wetlands are worth $90 million a year into the Chesapeake Bay economy and environmental contributions. So the majority of this project, I know you haven't seen Fleximat before, but it has been patented in 2000. We've done 13 installations locally over the last 8 years. The product itself has survived Category 3 and 4 hurricanes on the Gulf Coast. So it's been around quite a while, used all over the world by the Corps of Engineers. It's relatively new to shorelines in Virginia. As I said, I think the one I did 8 years ago was the first. But they're very stable. They have exhibited no signs. One is in a very high, medium to high energy environment. We put it in, Hurricane Ophelia hit before we finished planting it, and it survived just fine, and the plant survived just fine. That was September 3 years ago. That fetch is 13,000 miles to Perth, Australia. So concerns about the longevity of this product are not proven anywhere, in my mind, in the state or in any other case studies or direct observation. Around the north end, the state engineer determined that a living shoreline was possible there, so we have incorporated that. Yes, that section there to the north. There is existing marsh grass and sand that is deposited there. The reef structure will not impact any of the marsh, but will in fact allow us to plant more marsh in there in a protected fashion. The return at the top will protect the rest of the bank as it peels back to the northeast towards that directional north side. That's eroding as well, not as virulently as the rest of the bank, but the trees are falling over, the bank is undercut, and we feel that that living shoreline there will significantly protect the rest of the property. There are plantings also right on the point in a backfilled area where the pier is to the north and open to the side. That is where most of the energy is focused at this site. Peeling around that, we feel that's extra protection. And you saw those trees all falling down right there. They're all around that point. So the grade back stabilizes the entire shoreline where the Fleximat is, and the living shoreline protects it up on the north side. We feel that this meets the spirit of the living shoreline law, and in fact, other than the definitions for fetch, it is a living shoreline.
Are you through, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Olivia, would you?
Yes, ma'am. I've got a few more pictures for you all. This is the quick reef example that was provided, and the Fleximat close-up there. The agent has provided these pictures as examples, and this is Fleximat, as he said, in another example here. This is an example of quick reef that was installed in Gloucester, and that example was provided by the agent, and the plantings above that. This is some resilience mapping from ADAPT Virginia. We were talking about how when we were on site, this project was designed for resiliency. And you can see the sea level rise high scenario there, which some of you had interest in seeing. Then that was the flood mapping. And I'll just do a close-up so you can see what We're looking at the 1% annual chance flood hazard area and the sea level rise mapping from NOAA. So that's what you're looking at on that map. These are the pictures from the site that VMRC has taken. Oops. And included in your packet was a comment from VIMS, which I'd like to read into the record. And also included at the back of your packet was a letter from VDOT about a different project, but it's relevant because they had added Fleximat to their special products evaluation list and accepted it as an approved material and specifically noted for shorelines on their list of what they would approve Fleximat for on a VDOT project, just for your knowledge, since it's relatively new to you, and I don't think we have permitted Fleximat in this county before. So here's the letter that VIM sent to Ms. Burge. The major modifications to the original erosion control strategy for the project by SLED on Taylor's Creek have been thoroughly reviewed by personnel from VIM's Shoreline Studies Program in the Office of Research and Advisory Services. Our review involved site visits for both the original and modified proposals that included the applicant, agents for the project, and representatives for Lancaster County and VMRC. The project shoreline is characterized by a vertical bank with fallen trees and sparse wetland vegetation channelward of the bank. A community of dense submerged aquatic vegetation inhabits the area immediately channelward of mean low water along the entirety of the project site. Shorelines adjacent to the mouth of Taylor's Creek along the main stream of the Corritorman River, which have comparatively greater vulnerability to wave-induced energy, have experienced low or very low erosion since 1937. These same data also show that shoreline retreat from 1937 to 2021 at the project site was approximately 8 inches per year. However, the rate of retreat accelerated to 18 inches per year since 2002. Although hydrological forces that cause erosion are historically minor at the project site due to shoreline orientation and comparatively shallow bathymetry at the mouth of Taylor's Creek, erosion along this high bank is apparent, and shoreline treatments that inhibit further retreat are warranted. It is noteworthy for this shoreline setting that erosion can be caused by multiple factors, and on-site evidence supports cause of bank instability that are not primarily attributable to wave energy. The modified proposal's use of articulated concrete block matting and cast concrete sills with sand fill has significantly reduced direct impacts to non-vegetated tidal wetlands. The articulated concrete block matting is proposed for placement immediately landward of tidal wetlands jurisdiction along the majority of the slope shoreline. These structures have been widely used to stabilize slopes along drainage corridors that transport waters via parallel flow and on shores of lakes and reservoirs. We are concerned for its effectiveness, especially long-term in response to direct wave energy under tidal situations. It should be further understood that the concrete blocks fill approximately 65 to 70% of the area of each mat, significantly inhibiting the ability for wetland vegetation to successfully establish and provide levels of ecological functions and resilience similar to natural marshes and in response to sea level rise. Should a less inhibitive opportunity for future landward marsh migration be considered, the maximum width of a vegetated low marsh fringe that could develop is only approximately 18 inches given the planned slope of the upland 2-to-1 and the relatively narrow local tide range of 1.4 feet. A narrow vegetated high marsh community could also form upslope. The narrowness of these marsh communities would provide some future habitat and water quality functions, but only a modicum of wave attenuation capabilities. A low sill with landward sand fill is proposed channelward of the shoreline's western point adjacent to the pier, which is proposed to be sprigged with sporobolus species. However, we recommend only planting with salt meadow hay due to the fill that is proposed to an elevation of 1.5 times the mean tide range. The sill proposed along the north terminus is planned for an area sheltered from wave action. The high bank in this area is not experiencing aggressive erosion, and the need for structural protection, especially placed upon tidal wetlands, is highly questionable. If a strategy to reduce the likelihood of future bank erosion is deemed appropriate, grading the bank of 2-to-1 slope would provide a functional alternative. The minimal long-term erosion rates for this particular shoreline provide evidence of a low-energy wave environment for which non-structural approaches may be successful. The planned sloping and planting of the riparian area alone, without the placement of the matting, will significantly decrease the potential for shoreline retreat. If further protection is desired, an alternative approach is the placement of the low sills above mean low water sand fill and tidal wetland vegetation plantings with gaps for regular tidal inundation, faunal ingress-egress corridors along most of the project shoreline. And then that was from Lyle Varnell from he is the Associate Director for Advisory Services with VIMS. And I think Chris had prepared a response to those comments. So I don't know, Chris, did you want to respond to any of that?
Yes, I certainly would. There are large parts of that we agree with, that the site is eroding, that it needs to be protected. There are many points of which we disagree, so I have a 3-page paper, so I'll try to keep it succinct for all of our sakes. The major point that I would suggest is in error in Mr. Varnell's approach is his concern about the longevity. He cites no case studies, no observations, no data to support that supposition. And as I said, we have case studies showing it survived on Lake Pontchartrain in Category 4 hurricanes. I've had it survive on Mobjack Bay in Hurricane Ophelia. No damage. We've offered many times for VIMS to come out and observe the Fleximat. They have declined, even though they're only 20 minutes, the sites are only 20 minutes from Gloucester Point. The vegetation comment saying that the Fleximat inhibits marsh grass growth, again, direct observation in the photographs we provided disprove that. In fact, if you go up and you observe this grid around the blocks, the stem density is much more compact than in an open marsh, where there's some distance from stem to stem. This plant packs this grid heavily, and then, of course, adjacent under the block is plenty of space for the root growth. And fiddler crabs also bury in this and live under the blocks. So we feel that the VIMS point of view and attitude towards Fleximat is uninformed. And we are glad to take anyone, anywhere to see any site that we've done at any time. There is some discussion at the end of it about the north section where we're putting in a living shoreline, and there's the recommendation to grade the bank there, which means cutting down all the trees. In terms of the state law, we have approval from the state engineer, an agreement that a living shoreline there is possible and appropriate in terms of the law. So not putting a living shoreline there and grading the bank back seems antithetical to the goals of the shoreline law and the goals of the homeowner, frankly. Why cut down more trees than you have to? Some of those are very old, aged oaks, been there a long time.
Okay.
I think that's the major body of our response. Almost every paragraph has something that we agree with and disagree. Thank you.
Okay, what's your thoughts, your girl?
Madam Chairwoman, the county is grateful for VIM's comments and the opportunity to get their opinion on this matter and Fleximat. I would posit that the county has frequently approved riprap projects in your jurisdictional area that when you have a steep embankment end up not being enough, and the applicant will come back and ask for additional riprap further up in the resource protection area. So in that case, you're not getting any opportunity for vegetation at all. As far as I can see, at least with the Fleximat product, you have, the idea is that vegetation will grow through that. So even though we haven't permitted here before, it would be interesting to see that work, and if that works better than simply riprapping all the way up a slope, which we frequently see in this county, once the existing riprap that's permitted ends up getting overtopped in scenarios where we have rising tides. So while we appreciate Vim's feedback there, I think Fleximat is a product that the county can approve. We've approved it for erosion control. VDOT agrees that it's allowable for their shoreline practices. So other than that, the county has no further comment.
VMRC.
No, no comment from VMRC.
So you, okay,
Not my project, this was handled by Tiffany Burge, so I'm not as familiar with it as her.
okay, anyone on the board?
Well, I'm not convinced totally that the concrete in those mats would not inhibit growth. I'm just not convinced, and I don't know, has it been, what, 15 years since we started these mats?
25 years.
25 years? And that's along the Virginia coast?
That's nationwide, worldwide.
Okay.
I'm not sure what I could do to convince you other than the photographs or to take you there. In the majority of the cases, you cannot even see the blocks once the mat grows up. Now it's, alternate flora grows higher than the salt meadow, but it is thoroughly saturated in my opinion, in the same density as a natural marsh, if you were to go count the stems. So the wave action going over top of this, the waves are deflected up, so there's no opportunity for scouring out the plant sprigs and the plant roots. So they are permanently in place and cannot be damaged by surf or wave action. So as I said, it's the best of both worlds. You get the plants and you get the revetment.
Does these flex mats decompose?
No,
They
no.
stay-
It's marine concrete, 5,000 pound. It's the same concrete that's used for bridge supports in salt water. That's what's used. And when it's buried, when it's laid flat, it's very heavy. It's 10 pounds per square foot, so at 10 by 10, that's 1,000 pounds. It doesn't move, and the mat and the root structures become completely intertwined. So what you really have there is the development of a normal marsh peat with the growth of the root structures year over year. It's also used for boat ramps and things like that, so it's extremely durable. It's very tough.
So I guess after a period of time, the normal flow of the water and the tides will fill in?
If one of the photographs showed a Fleximat between adjacent properties that had bulkheads, and so there's sand moving in that area, not this one, that one. So yes, sand is possible to fill in and cover it up. I've had other installations where the top part, the client actually put topsoil and grass over it, because that's the part that would only be impacted by a named hurricane. So they just roll the dice there. But the shoreline protection, in freshwater, they just throw grass seed under it, for example, and it grows up through, and that manages stream flow and that kind of thing.
You don't have any pictures of something you installed 25 years ago, though, right?
No, sir, I've just been installing it here for 8 years in Virginia.
Okay.
I'm sure you could go to the website of the manufacturer and get all the pictures you want. They have case studies, you know, from desert streams, handling flash flooding, all kinds of things.
Well, let me ask Andy, have you seen any of these mats installed?
No.
I'd like to ask Olivia something.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry?
You finished?
Yeah.
I'd like to ask Olivia, apparently these things have been used before, but we have no information for better or worse or whatever. So I would feel that if this board approves this, that the board should take the opportunity to go back and check and see how these things work and how well they're doing, and if the grass is growing through them like we understand it is. Do you have any other thoughts in reference to these?
No, I think Chris had expressed a willingness to have us come look at some projects in the future. I think it would be a good study of what this product can do in an area like this. So I would posit that the possibility of the vegetation working there is a better option than riprapping it, but it's up to you whether or not you all want to permit it.
Okay.
We welcome inspection and visits. I mean, it becomes very visual when you can walk up and look very close and see the stem growth. It's impressive.
I'd like to ask VLMRC if they've had a track record of these particular flex.
Yes, sir. Well, in my years of doing compliance inspections, I have seen it in various parts of Hampton Roads. Not sure I've seen it in the Northern Neck or Middle Peninsula in my time.
Yeah.
I did see one spot in Suffolk that I can remember where it did seem to be planted well and surviving, but that's the only example that I can think of, so.
So the question is, do they work?
I can't answer that question.
Well, that is like I said, we'll just have to revisit and check on it and see what, this apparently is our first application of this nature.
That's correct.
And I'd suggest that if it's approved, that we go back periodically and check it and see how it's working, what it's doing. Is it more detrimental or is it, better? Would be my suggestions, because otherwise we haven't had any real experience with it.
Yeah.
I haven't. I'm sure,
You've been here a long time.
I feel I'm speaking for the board as well.
Yes, you are.
And with that said, does anyone else on the board?
I might add one comment. Last March, via a grant, Wetlands Watch held a final conference meeting about living shorelines and examples of successful living shorelines, and they produced a document. It was entitled, I'm going to paraphrase slightly, but it was Designing Living Shorelines in Sea Level Rise in Situations in Virginia. There were 26 case studies. 2 of them were Flexomat. So it's been documented and publicized by the state of Virginia. There was...
Sir, I hate to cut you short, but we're dealing with this one application here, and what has happened or will happen, I don't believe any of us know that. So with that said, is there anyone else on the board that would like to add anything? We've heard from our state agency, and we've heard from our compliance officer, and I would like to ask the public, if it's anyone out there that would like to speak to this.
I'd like, Rick Wineland again. I'd like to just mention, since this just happens to be my new next-door neighbor, per chance. And I can tell you the erosion that I've witnessed since 1989 has been amazing. I've looked at aerial maps over the years and watched the erosion go on this, and regardless of what you all decide on the Fleximat, it is definitely something that needs to be worked on and treated, so. But I'm willing to have
Well,
that.
it's like I said, none of us have really had the experience of
Right.
seeing this, whether it will or will not work. I don't guess there's anyone in this room can say for sure it will or won't. But if this is what the gentleman wishes to do with his property, and we've heard for quite a time now, looking at the clock up there, the ifs and ands and what fors, and no one, is it in, have you finished, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it anyone else? Come state your name for the record, please. 5 minutes.
I need more like 5 seconds. My name is Jeff Corbin. I'm with Native Shorelines. I work with Chris. Just one other point for the record is the state law says that for shoreline protection, you should use a living shoreline. If a living shoreline is not suitable, which it isn't at the point where we're using Fleximat, you should incorporate as many components of a living shoreline as possible. And that is what we're doing. Rip-wrapping that bank would not meet the requirements of the law. What we're trying to do is meet the requirements of the law. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, with that said, is there any further discussion? If not, I'd like a motion, please.
I move that the project be approved as presented.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Come on. Okay. Okay, you did vote, right, in favor?
I did vote.
Okay.
Don't shoot me.
I just wanted to make sure so I can get my records straight here. Okay, we thank y'all for all the information on this, and the next one on our agenda is George Palmer. There's someone here representing him.
Yes, I'm still here. Joseph Scott, Saltera Solutions, Kilmarnock, Virginia, P.O. Box 1744. I am the agent for the applicant and the contractor.
Read the ad, please. George Palmer, in care Saltera Solutions, is requesting permission to install 12 linear feet of Class A1 riprap revetment and 2 Class A1 riprap marsh seals and 170 feet respectively for a total of 233 of seal with 80 cubic yards of sand nourishment and 1,600 square feet of wetland planting against the eroding bank of the Cove of Indian Creek, located off Virginia State Highway 650 Fleets Bay Road on Blue Water Farm, tax map number 29-57D, VMRC number 25-1770. Go ahead.
So yes, this project, since the time that it was originally advertised, was revised for an additional area of sill. But that is not in the jurisdiction of this board. I'm not a lawyer, nor am I an attorney or a pontificator of great natural things. But it's my understanding that we were able to make that revision without having to have the the public notice change for this hearing, because the portion that is in your jurisdiction is just the 12 feet of revetment, where the sill is going to transition into a revetment or transition into the area there where the bulkhead is existing. Likewise, we had another revision where there will be a revetment in front of that failing timber bulkhead, because he had some folks come out and look at it and pretty much say it was gone. So, but again, that's all in the jurisdiction of the Virginia Marine Resources Commission. What I'm here for you folks is just the 12 feet where it transitions from the sill into that point, because there will be intertidal impacts. It's unavoidable in order to attach it, and obviously we can't leave a gap there because that's actually one of the worst spots of the erosion that's occurring at this particular property. So all the rest of it is a stone sill with sand and plantings, except for in the area where there's already existing plantings where a stone sill will go out in front of it, and they're going to add some sand nourishment to try to build up that elevation a little bit, because those particular plants are drowning. They're staying wet a little bit too much. So if you have any questions for me.
Finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Olivia, do you have any comment?
The county has no comment, thank you.
PMRC?
This is seems to be a well-designed project, you know, that I've looked at, and I'll be the one permitting our portion of the project. And since it was revised, I see no other issues for our jurisdiction and any questions about it, so.
Anyone on the board?
I have no comment.
Anyone in the audience? If no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion, please.
Yeah, I'll move to approve the project as submitted.
Second, please.
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Now then, let me see what's next on our agenda here. I don't see there's nothing in this package that tells me where I'm going from here.
Madam Chairwoman, it's approval of meeting minutes is your next action.
I need a motion to approve the minutes, please, of last meeting.
I wasn't here, I can't vote.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
I'll second.
all in favor? Okay, the minutes is approved. Is there any other business?
No, Madam Chairwoman.
No further business. The meeting is adjourned at 10:30.